Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining and taking some time to learn and explore the rabbit hole that is DAOs. So IRLart, just to introduce our organization and myself a bit more. IRLart has been an arts organization really for about a decade. We've worked with over 2,000 artists doing high impact IRL projects. So we do a lot of art coordination at music festivals and block parties and do mural festivals and a lot of in-person programming for the arts. And we're really passionate about paid opportunities for artists. So we do a lot of calls for artists and ultimately work with a lot of experimental and non-traditional artists. So artists that, may not land in a normal art gallery or museum. I worked with an organization company called Meow Wolf for 3 years. And so if anyone's familiar with Meow Wolf, that usually rings a bell for people and helps give context to our work as well. So a lot of experiential art and things like that. Yeah, and if you haven't been to a Meow Wolf, I definitely recommend it. There's one in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Denver, Colorado, and Las Vegas. I helped with the Denver exhibit, curating almost all of the Denver based artists. So I was the bridge that helped really plug in the local arts community to the exhibit. And so just really an extension of our work in, helping really, support the local artist here. But we work all over. So we've programmed art all over. We're also the art stewards for ETH Denver. So we've hosted the NFT auction and do that call for artist and curation every year. We've done the gallery since 2019. So that was really my introduction into NFTs and, I'd been into crypto longer, but I really, started making my own NFTs to help me understand how to really wrap my head around producing an auction for ETH Denver. And because I really learned by doing. And so here's our website. I thought I'd just show you. So we also have a brick and mortar gallery here in Denver, Colorado. Our current exhibit is actually my former colleague at Meow Wolf, Chris Clavio. This is his first solo exhibit, and it's really cool. So just showing kind of some examples of the kinds of shows we do. This is a really experimental light exhibit. And we've done a number of other exhibits in the gallery. We've probably produced close to 20, NFT or experimental digital and light-based art shows. And, as an arts organization, we've been exploring heavily how to coordinate as a DAO, right? And what that looks like, because I've always felt that, IRL is a sum of all of its parts, and I really want to reflect that in the organization. And, so I've been over the last couple of years while I've been really, working on all of these projects in the background, really researching and participating in other creative DAOs to really understand the tooling and the just how various organizations are approaching moving towards a DAO operation, because it feels really aligned with our values, and a lot of them are very cooperative in nature, and so that's kind of what I'll be focusing on, is a lot of various creative DAOs that I think really inspire us, that we've been participating in various ways, and ultimately just looking at the various ways that people create creative DAOs. And so my first class is here on YouTube, the class 25 for VerticalCrypto Art, if you want to check that out. Really what we explored in that class was a lot of the DAO tooling. So I went through and showed how to create a free Polygon NFT for voting on Snapshot, because that's what we've done. And it's just showing the ways that are free, if not really low cost, of getting started with DAO tooling, so that you can introduce voting and introduce, thank you, Boria. And, just walking through those steps. And it's really easy. So I'm not a super technical person. I'm pretty more on the creative side. So to me, I was really surprised by, how easy it was. So I think for anybody, really, you could follow along in that class and be able to set up a snapshot and test voting for free with these Polygon NFTs. And you can also use a number of things, and there's so many ways to approach this, but I gave one example of a really accessible way to get started. And feel free to, while I'm talking, I want this to be really free form. I'd love for y'all to get what you want out of this. So if you have any questions, feel free, and we can guide the conversation more towards what you're interested in learning. And or feel free to drop your Twitters or your projects that you're working on, because I think that this is really an exercise to be more connected and to be able to support each other beyond this class too. So feel free to show what you're working on, or however you would like to promote yourself or what you're working on. So yeah, just to kick it off, I think, part of what I'd like to talk about is various grants that are available and ways to support your work early on. And then I can move into more of the creative DAOs that I think are really doing some interesting work. So, and I touched on some last time too. I think I highlighted mostly Decentraland as a really incredible DAO, and MetaFactory, two that we've participated heavily in and that we continue to participate in. So I'll omit those, but those are two incredible ones, just because there's another video already that really go into how they're operating as DAOs and why they're so fantastic. So yeah, so I wanted to just chat about some of the fundraising opportunities that are out there to really get going for supporting your work early on. So this is kind of I would even say more like pre-DAO opportunities, because I think it's a lot to go from zero to DAO. So if I'm really speaking to people that are, really still figuring out how, similar to us, so we survive on a lot of grants right now because we haven't launched a token, and are still, figuring out how we want to fundraise as a DAO beyond grants. So, one of the things we recently did is we launched some digital to physical clothes as a fundraiser. So we created these physical jackets that have a Kong chip in them, as well as a digital wearable for your avatar that matches. And, so we're fundraising for a direct to garment printer for our organization with these clothing. And so we're still, in some ways, we are using DAO tooling to to operate. So we have, our snapshot that we vote with when we have sub-grants we're doing, or, figuring out how we want to approach various things, and we vote together using our Polygon NFTs. But we're still, we don't have a token. We're just using NFTs, and really still in a pretty experimental phase of our work. And, when you're getting going, I think getting grants from various DAOs is a really great way to empower your research and empower your efforts, whether you're wanting to host a gallery show or produce some work, whatever it may be. And there's a lot of resources out there for that. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to just talk about the DAOs that are out there offering grants. And so on the Ethereum, and I am very much so an Ethereum maxi. So, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about and showing are Ethereum-based organizations or DAOs, but there's certainly a lot of resources on every single network. So depending on if you're in the Solana community or if you're in the Polygon community, whatever it may be, I definitely encourage you to look into what kind of ecosystem grants they have, because often there are creative grants available. And so I'm going to be focusing on Ethereum, but depending on whichever network that you are participating the most in, I'm almost certain that there's probably a grants program. So yeah, just wanted to highlight, and a lot of the grants are more technical based, but there are a lot of ways. So Gitcoin also is an incredible resource for, I always call it kind of like the GoFundMe for crypto, but it's an incredible way to get your project out there and get some seed funding for whatever it may be. And so we have a project up here that I try to keep updated for IRLart. I think we've raised about $15,000. So it's pretty great as a way to not only get visibility for your project, to find other great projects, but to also raise some money. So I think that this is a really incredible resource. They also give grants. So the Gitcoin community is really robust as far as education, as far as, being able to have a profile and a grant on their website to receive funding. There's just so many resources right here. And I wanted to show some of these. So, a lot of like Metacartel, for instance, is, to, funding to start a DAO or to get seed funding. So before you've launched a token, before you've really done a big fundraising effort, there's a lot of those ground level, investments or grants available from Metacartel. And here's, a great resource right here of various, grants available and the links to them. So this is all on the ethereum.org website under community grants. And I just think that they're doing a great job of really, aggregating a lot of the resources that are out there. And so this is the Ethereum's their actual grant. And so, it talks about how to apply. And basically, they have two grants available. So they have small grants for up to $30,000. And then they have project grants, which you can apply for larger funding. So, some of the examples of project grants that have gotten larger amounts are like ENS, so the Ethereum Name Service, And so that would be a pretty, a more fleshed out concept. But, for really just getting some funding off the ground for something more experimental or less developed, I think the small grants are a really great thing to look into. So just wanted to showcase some of what the Ethereum Foundation has collected here as far as resources for grants. Certainly a lot of technical grants, but I think that like between Gitcoin and the Ethereum grants, Metacartel, there's a lot of options for exploring creative grants. I also wanted to showcase Cult DAO. So this is a really cool project that I'm a guardian of, which has been a really cool opportunity to have exposure to different DAOs and to actually be able to vote and be able to fund them. So what Cult DAO does is we've given out 1,287 ETH to date. The project really launched in, I think, February. So not even a year, we've been able to give away about $2 million in both grants and investments, but it's all really seed stage. So we give out 13 ETH allotments, and you can apply for multiple allotments. Like we funded ETH Barcelona and ETH Denver, and both of those were multiple allocations. And what's really cool about Cult DAO, and what I really encourage anybody who either has a DAO or is looking at a DAO, artists in the micro grant range, absolutely hidden forces. I will definitely touch on that. Let me just finish this thought, and I will definitely respond to your question there. So Dune Analytics is an incredible open source platform for inputting and pulling data from DAOs. And so this is Cult DAO's Dune dashboard, where you can see, so much data about the project, who the guardians of the project are. So how to get funding through Cult DAO is you would reach out to one of the guardians, and then they would champion your project and put it up for vote. And anyway, there's plenty of more info online. I just want to give some little nuggets that y'all can follow up on in your own time. But Dune is really great. There's a lot of DAOs that utilize this, and you can just search right here and find a number of really cool data dashboards for different DAOs. And I'm just such a visual person that being able to look at this really helps explain what's actually going on. And then I'm happy to fund non-art. Absolutely, Nathaniel Stern. Cult DAO funds, if anything, we haven't funded much art through Cult DAO. I'm certainly trying to push more proposals forward to, get more creative projects funded, NFT projects and the like. I helped with the sponsorships of ETH Barcelona and ETH Denver. So that's, to me, sponsoring events is certainly really creative, and a lot of good comes out of that. But they certainly fund non-art. If anything, that's mostly what we fund. And so I think a climate action DAO would be right up their alley for something that we would be interested in funding. So, you can join their Discord or their Telegram. Their website's right here with more information, and really radical, cool community. And I've been really grateful to be involved, just to be able to learn and just see so many different projects come through that we've funded, physical and crypto at site-specific installations. So let me go chronologically here. Sorry, I'm getting I appreciate all the questions, though. This is great. So with funding opportunities for artists in the micro grant range, I think there's a lot of really great DAOs out there that certainly sponsor various artists. One that I have been looking at is Flamingo DAO, and that was one that I wanted to bring up. They've done some really cool stuff where they've commissioned artists to create work. And, and then basically I was looking at the curators of Flamingo DAO, and you might know some of these people. And that would be, I think, a really organic way to reach out to a DAO is to look at their members or their curators and say, oh, hey, I know Drew Harding from Meta Factory. Love Drew. I'm going to reach out to him and see what I can learn more about getting a grant through Flamingo DAO. And so I think that there's a lot of different projects, and so I can definitely go through some of these too, because there was quite a few that I wanted to talk about that I think would be good ones to know about, or good DAOs to know about that may or may not do some kind of sponsorship or grant or commission. I definitely spoke about Decentraland last time, and Sandbox. So, if it's a metaverse-based project, a lot of the actual metaverse platforms themselves, the DAOs, they have ways to get grants. And so, depending on the kind of project you're wanting to do, if there's a way that you can incorporate a metaverse aspect, you could propose a project to Decentraland or a project to Sandbox. And so that's, it just depends on what kind of project it is. So with refraction, I'll have to look into that, Nathaniel. I'll try to pull it up. Great suggestion. So looks like there's a DAO called Refraction that does 1 to 5K grants. I haven't heard of them, but I'll definitely check them out. And Franco Bellavita, with your question about physical and crypto art, I think, what we did with Decentraland was, let me see if I could pull this up real quick. I was going to just look up some of our projects on GitHub. So, what we did with Decentraland, and a lot of, like, one of our angles is IRL art over the last 2 years, as we've been recreating different. Here, I'll go to the sports castle because people might recognize that from ETH Denver. I'll check out Sonic Bloom. It's our most recent one we've done. So with Decentraland, we put in a grant proposal to basically recreate renditions of our physical projects we were doing. So this is a music festival that we do a full-blown art gallery for. We do installations. We do site-wide art curation with, close to 200 artists, right? And so this is just the lineup of all the music that was there. But, we do all of the art. And so we recreated the music festival in Decentraland. And we did a series of 6 projects. So we kicked it off with ETH Denver and recreated the sports castle. We recreated one of our mural festivals. And then we had sub grants available to other artists, and we did, let's see if I could. We did a really cool, here we go. We did a really cool one that one of our sub granted artists applied because we curated a gallery at EF Dev Connect, so the Ethereum Foundation's event in Amsterdam. And the artist recreated an architecturally accurate rendition of the building that the conference was hosted in. And we sub-granted him out as part of that. And he did such an epic job. And so with all of these GitHubs that are hosted on GM3, so that's our collaborator, Boombox Head. He's my next door neighbor. We have a bit of a compound hacker house going on down here in Denver. So Boombox lives next door and basically has been open sourcing all of our builds. So you can actually download all of the assets from every single one of our builds we've done and on his GitHub. So anywho, I think, just trying to show an example of like how we got a grant for, I think it would be very cool to be able to fund, for an example, an IRL art with digital art site-specific installations. Yeah, absolutely. And I consider what we're doing really experimental, and the mission really behind it was we started it during ETH Denver 2020 when we were in a pandemic and we only could create a virtual gallery space, and we built it in crypto voxels, and it was so successful and wonderful to be able to still connect with people. We had Zoom calls and were able to still hear from the artist and run around together, and we thought how special this was. And so we knew that the next year, even if it was in person, we wanted to be able to recreate it virtually because for a number of reasons, there's so many reasons why people couldn't attend an in-person conference. So for us, it's an act of accessibility, and as well as documentation, as well as open sourcing our files. So there's a number of really, I think, high value reasons why you would want to recreate physical experiences. You're documenting it, you're able to share those files and really, provide a space where people can still meet up. And so I'll show one more just because this was I think our most recent build we've done, where we basically, through our work with Decentraland, so we got the grant through Decentraland to do 6 of these types of like physical digital projects. And then Filecoin reached out and wanted us to build their headquarters in Decentraland and actually showcase it in person at their conference, which I wish we had some more documentation on the GitHub here, but we live streamed into the build what was happening at the conference. And then we also had 2 LED screens, and we built an interface with a game controller. So you could actually, as human size, pilot through Decentraland, because our LED walls were like 10 foot by 10 foot. And we had, these Xbox controllers. So you could pilot through the build as human size, which was pretty cool. And So, we've been exploring a lot of this, and through our grant with Decentraland, we were able to put some money towards our clothing that we did because we created them as wearables in Decentraland. So, another experimentation in physical to digital, right? But Decentraland's an incredible community, and I think a really great place to get some seed funding to explore similar ideas. And I'll bring up another one too while we're kind of on the topic of metaverse, kind of physical to digital stuff. So Mona Gallery is another just incredible metaverse space. And if anything, it's the most high def metaverse because you're using Unity. There's not as many polygon restrictions, so you can do a lot more high def builds in here. But they do all sorts of really cool bounty and contest type stuff. So this is a really cool way to potentially earn through participating. And we actually, through our Filecoin project, I was going to show you, we actually have a call for artists right now for sculptures for Mona Gallery for the 2.0 version of our Filecoin project that will be displayed in Lisbon at the end of October. But it's on our Twitter, IRLart. I can find it in a little bit, but let's see, where are we at? Yeah. So and as a artist myself, I've way before even NFTs, I've been experimenting with anchoring digital art into reality through 3D printing and projection mapping and, wheat pasting digital designs as graffiti and just so many different iterations. I think I have a strange obsession with bringing like the richness and just the like impossibilities of digital art. I think that, there's something really attractive of creating things digitally that you couldn't make by hand, but then somehow being able to bring it to life through more technology, right? So 3D printing or, printing out designs and liminal zones. Yeah, I love exploring this stuff. It's, I think in everything we do, you can see some element of that being just continued to be explored. And I'm just so grateful for DAOs and for these organizations that are so open-minded to supporting experimental projects. And, just because it hasn't been done before, if anything, that's a great thing. So, I'd be happy to also, let's see, IRL.land, Decentraland. I think, yeah. So we called our project IRL Land. And in our Discord too, I try to be good about sharing all of our proposals that we put in for funding. And so, here's what we propose to Decentraland. We also put this, presentation together in Canva, and we encourage people to, however this might benefit you, please feel free to look at our proposals and how we successfully got funding to help build your own proposals. And and I'm also happy to share these links in the chat. But yeah, we were blown away. We thought we were shooting really high and asked for $240,000 to do this series of 6-month projects. And at the end, we were really tired. It was a lot of work, but we're ultimately really proud of what all we were able to accomplish. And it really helped our whole team just learn so much and grow so much. So, and just the fact, I think it's a 2-week period from, when you apply to when it's decided on whether your grant gets approved or not. And so, and I work heavily between, Web 2 and Web 3. We do a lot of civic level projects. I'm working on a project right now with the state of Colorado, and I'm working on stuff with local arts districts and very traditional organizations. And some of those grants that you would apply for normally could take months, and they require all of this background information of tax reporting and all these different things that for a small organization, it can be really difficult to apply for and get all of those things together, and lengthy, and not only in the terms of applying, but then when you'll hear back. And so I think one of the great aspects, just from having kind of both experiences, the great thing about DAOs is that very quickly can you find out if you got the funding or not. And I think that they're just much more open to funding very experimental things, where applying for more traditional stuff, they probably wouldn't even know what you were talking about. So does some of that grant money go toward artist bills like rent, etc.? If so, how are those amounts decided within the project? Great question. So let me look. I know it's on our Canva. So I'll just pull it up here and show you how we broke down our budget. So let's see, let me flip through here. But yes, short answer, yes. Here we go. So, we were able to get funding to go towards our gallery rent. We were able to get funding to go towards all of our teams. And it's up to them how they spend it. One of our team members had a day job, and so she used the funding that she received through this grant to invest in NFTs that she's saving to give to her son. And so she never, off-ramped any of her crypto. And so it's really, we were really grateful to get this kind of support to help with the gallery. It's expensive, and, we don't often, we're creating experiences, which we're always trying to find ways to, capture as NFTs or do various things to raise money, like through our merch and through, people renting the gallery for events. But ultimately, these grants have really helped us be able to sustain for large periods of time, so that we can just learn more, explore more, do more. And we certainly paid for a lot of bills through this grant, and we're so grateful. Yeah, the Decentraland community is really special. And I think that their DAO in general is just like a shining example of how, and they've had some time. They were the first metaverse. I think they launched in 2018. And so it's not a surprise on some level that they have really, led the way as far as having a sophisticated DAO and a process for applying, and then how it all works. So I've really just continued to be really impressed with everything. So yeah, just if you go to decentraland.org, you can go to the DAO. They have blogs, they have town halls, really incredible example if you're interested just to see a good example of a DAO. Let's see. Moving forward, I want to go through some more of these tabs and just show some more things. I guess I'll just go through the ones I haven't shown so far. This is just another similar to Dune Analytics. So Deep DAO is a really great platform where, one, if you have a DAO, you can, I really encourage you to add it so that you can get that visibility and update all your metrics and promote transparency. But basically, this is just an incredible resource for all sorts of DAOs. Pleaser DAO is a really cool creative DAO. So click on them and, you just get all of these really cool metrics, right? So all of the funding that they have in their treasury and in what token. So organizations that have the same people, that's kind of cool. And so top stakeholders and kind of the treasury over time. And yeah, so just really good metrics and, all of their pages and stuff. So I find this to be a great tool of discovery just to find different DAOs and to, again, because I'm just such a visual person. So things like this really help me a lot to see what I'm looking at. So let's see. Yeah, and then just wanted to show some more creative grants. So this one's for music. Audius is a really cool streaming platform that's Web3 based. They have their Audius token, and here's their grant application form right here on, so it's audio grants on Twitter. Really cool way to just get some seed funding for anything music related. And, I think that could be to answer Franco's question too. If you wanted to have some kind of cool audio visual party or have some kind of music element. And my only suggestion with applying for any grant really, but you always want to be reciprocal. And so with audio, as an example, a while ago when we were getting our events going at the gallery, we applied for a grant to pay some of the DJs or, give a grant of Audius tokens to the DJs and musicians that were playing at the gallery. And in exchange, they were putting some of their music onto the platform and creating profiles. So, trying to think about creative ways that it's not just you're asking for funding. You want to think about how to make a reciprocal exchange or value exchange happen for the platform, whether it's marketing or whether it's through education or supporting their platform by bringing great artists to it, whatever it may be. And it helps me to look at other grants that have been successful because you always will see good examples of that reciprocation. And so just wanted to show kind of a newer project that I thought was pretty cool. It's called Yeet. It's a project out of DAO House, which DAO House is a major hub for DAOs. So it's a platform where you can launch a DAO. But this is another project that DAO House created called Yeet, where people can, fundraise for different projects. So lots of really cool projects on here, lots of examples of ways that you can, raise funding. So I just love looking at stuff like this because I think it's just fascinating to see how various people are approaching fundraising and this tooling. So just wanted to show that. Also, so this is more getting into some of the creative DAOs that I think are really doing some cool and important work. And Unicorn DAO was founded by the artist Pussy Riot. and they are acquiring NFTs from female and LGBTQ plus artists. And, it's got some really great members. There's just a lot. And so you could join their Discord to learn more, but I'm just going to find the page that I was looking at earlier. Oh, here we go. Member, or no. Anyway, there was some more information on this, but now I'm not seeing it. But Unicorn DAO is awesome, and you can join their Discord. You have the funding and I find that a lot of these DAOs are pretty pricey to be involved in. That's what I wanted to find, was there's other ways to get involved versus just funding. Interesting. Now I'm not seeing it, but there was a way basically to fill out a form somewhere on this website and be involved in other ways versus just needing to buy a membership. So there's a lot of ways to participate and still be involved and still. And this was a really incredible article that I just read. I'll actually drop it in here because there was some really good information in here that was even fairly new to me, and it was really so I found it on the Unicorn DAO's website. But one of the most fascinating aspects in here was some of the legal stuff, because I think for us, that's why we've been cautious to really launch a token or accept investment. It's a big step forward for a lot of organizations. And so there was this part in this article that pointed to this investment club exemption on the SEC's website. And so I was reading through this and thought that it was just mind-blowing, to put it lightly. And so I basically was reading through that because that is how all of these DAOs are operating. And all of them are founded by this same team of Tribute Labs. Yep, Tribute Labs. And so I just thought that was really interesting and gave some really good parameters of one way to think about legally launching a DAO. So, definitely recommend reading this article, checking out this investment club model, and all of these other DAOs too. So they're all kind of creative in nature. So this one is all about digital fashion. It's Red DAO. And then Noise DAO is a DAO for sound. So I would imagine more music-based projects and things like that. And Neon DAO is for the metaverse. So really cool metaverse DAO. I really like how their website's interactive with me moving my mouse around. But these are all founded by the same people that also founded Unicorn DAO. And it's all under that investment club model, which I thought was really cool. And then Flamingo DAO that we talked about earlier. So yeah, so Neon, Flamingo, Noise, and Red were four of the more creative DAOs that stood out to me from Tribute Labs. And I'm sure most of y'all know Mocha, just because I feel like Mocha and VerticalCrypto Art are just so like they seem like sisters or something. And but I really love Museum of Crypto Art, and I think that they're doing some incredibly experimental and cool. Awesome. They are awesome. I love Shivani and Colburn and Renee so much. They've just been so kind and generous with their knowledge and support, and just the way that they're approaching supporting the space is so cool. Like their collection, so their Genesis collection, the permanent collection, is all work that was minted, I believe, before, was it December of 2020, or it's a specific cutoff date, but they were, they're specifically trying to preserve the true history of crypto art. And so they're, if anybody was making NFTs early on, most likely you have a piece in their collection. I have a piece. I kind of wish they had a better piece, to be honest, but I guess in some ways this one's pretty cool. It's because it was early AI art, so I ran a really glossy 3D piece through a Kandinsky AI, and but for it being 2-3 years ago when I made that piece, I guess it was pretty cool because AI hadn't really exploded quite yet, so I was being pretty experimental, and so they picked up that piece off my super rare. And but by being a part of Mocha, you can curate on their platform and do a number of really cool things. So I just think in general, they're a really cool organization to be a part of. I know that they've been working towards becoming a DAO. That's why I think I resonate with them so much, is because we both have been so active in the space for so long, but we're just operating pretty non-traditionally. So whereas like Flamingo DAO and Neon DAO, like they're almost these like templates of what a DAO should be, I think that Mocha, as well as us at IRL, are like, okay, well, we're still figuring it out because we're so experimental and all over the place. And one of these days we'll get it together. But in the meantime, we are really fascinated in researching and participating in various ways. So, but Mocha gave us a grant to do a gallery show at our exhibit called URL, which was really cool. That was back in, it was right at about a year ago, actually. It was about August, September last year. But we had we invited the Genesis artists to basically rework their piece in the permanent collection and did this whole exhibit. It was really conceptual and cool. And I just so appreciate Mocha for supporting us. And, we've provided all sorts of graphics and, various things to them, moderation, and, help support their efforts too. So, and then I wanted to show Botto. Oops, I don't want to go to, I guess I can connect my wallet, but Botto's a really cool DAO project. And so essentially you earn voting through staking your tokens. So you get Botto tokens, you stake them, you earn voting points. I have so many. I need to vote more. But I guess we could have some fun and vote together. So what it is it's an AI that the artist that created Botto has been building, and the stakers of the community actually get to go through and vote on their favorite pieces. And then the top voted piece goes on to Super Rare once a week and sells for auction every Sunday. And if it sells, they buy back and burn tokens out of the circulation of DAO tokens, so that there's this like unilateral upside for the community, which I thought was really interesting, right? So you vote on which art piece and you're also training the AI. So we're collectively training it by saying, oh, I like this piece or I don't like this piece. And it's really neat. And then, so that's kind of what DAO is. I think it's, especially in some of the heated arguments that have been happening around AI art and its validity, I've always point to DAO because I think it's such a genius example of how we can utilize AI in these really interesting interactive ways and benefit a whole community, right, off of the sales of AI art. So they have a manifesto that's actually written by an AI, and just in general are a very cool community, especially if you're interested in AI art or anything along those lines. I think that it's worth checking out and joining their Discord, and following their projects. So, oh, I think I accidentally clicked a Discord link. Oops. Am I still? I guess y'all can still see me. I just accidentally clicked out of the chat. But yeah, just moving forward through some other projects that I think are interesting. How do I open up the chat again? Here we go. Okay, I'm back. No more clicking Discord links. So this was a project I found recently, and I just thought it was so cool. It's from Pool Suite, is their kind of overarching name, but then they've been launching all these other projects. I just really love the branding and it's just wild. Yeah, they're trying to buy a goddamn manor, and you, as part of this DAO, you would be helping acquire the virtual artworks and be a guest at, the actual manor. And so you'd be able to go to their events. And at one point I read something about how you would be helping acquire the vintage furniture and antiques. And so they're just really, I think, talk about like the intersection of physical and digital. This is a pretty, I think, creative example of what's possible. And I've been considering joining just because I think it's really unique what they're doing. And I did notice too, let me find Seed Club. So Seed Club is, at some point I need to be a part of this too. I just have been so committed to so many projects that I really need to make some time to be a part of this. But it's an accelerator for DAOs. And, I noticed, right, Pool Suite went through it. Forefront, which is a great publication website. I think someone mentioned Refraction earlier. So they went through Seed Club. So I think a really impressive, people and groups have come out of Seed Club. So it's an accelerator program. I think you give 3% of your tokens and or NFTs that you use for your membership to Seed Club in exchange for this cohort program that's 12 weeks that really helps you refine and execute your project. And so and I saw it early on, but I hate that I haven't already gone through it, but, clearly an incredible resource here that's, helping people really fine tune their concepts. And let's see, I did want to, and so, yeah, and they have, different time periods that you can apply. I think we just missed the last application closed August 15th. So a few times a year they do it though. So I would just watch or join their Twitter to see if you are interested in joining Seed Club. Oops, I think I closed it. That's okay. Let's see. I just got rejected from Seed Club. Ah, dang it. Well, thank God for VerticalCrypto Art providing more resources because, yeah, that's crazy. Now I'm probably kicking myself even more because it's probably pretty hard to get in because they've had so many successful DAOs launch from their cohort. So, okay, well, there you go. So, anywho, just showing resources. I think that as the space keeps growing and evolving, it is going to get harder to get accepted into things. But I try to come from a real abundance mentality. There's probably a ton more accelerator programs too, and definitely don't get discouraged if you don't get accepted into any of these things or your grant doesn't get accepted. I've been told no probably more times than yes, so don't get fooled by me showing some of our successes that in the background there was a lot of, people who didn't even respond back to us or didn't, say yes when we asked for various things. So, it's always a process and, I don't get discouraged. I did want to, oh, cool. I definitely am looking forward to, learning more about refraction. It sounds like really, really cool. But I wanted to mention Opolis. So I've been a member of Opolis for almost a year now. But essentially what it is, and I definitely recommend it for anybody who's getting paid in crypto or earning money in crypto in any way. Because especially if you're based in the United States, I don't know what the international kind of process for this would be, but at least in the United States, Opolis is a way that you can pay yourself in crypto and receive a W-2, so as a salary employer, and prove your income as well as pay your taxes up front, which I find really helpful because I just feel like there's so much ambiguity around what taxes are owed for crypto. So I never want to get hit with some big bills. So it's been easier for me to just pay as I go up front through Opolis. And I also pay for all my benefits in crypto. So I actually have health insurance, dental insurance. You can pay into disability insurance, 401k plans, real basic normal HR type benefits, but you can pay in crypto. And I love it. I mean, it's been a really nice sense of stability in such a wild world to be a part of. So I definitely recommend I think the minimum, at least I think it's per state, but I can at least speak to my experience being here in Colorado, that it's a minimum of $45,000 for your annual salary to get a W-2. Otherwise, you're looked at as like a contractor and a part-time or W-9 employee, so that you need to meet a certain threshold of income per state, whatever your state says. This is, the salary of a full-time employee in our state. And here in Colorado, it's 45 grand. but then you can pay yourself bonuses. You can change your income at any given point. So say you start off and you say, oh, I want to pay myself $60,000, and then your income decreases for whatever reason. You can lower what you're paying yourself. So it's really flexible, really cool. It was launched from the founder of ETH Denver. And so I've been following it for a long time and really excited about it. And it's finally here and available, and just a really great resource for, getting yourself normal work benefits through crypto, which I just think is so fantastic. So I just wanted to talk about Opolis, and let's see if there's any other things I wanted to touch on. The only one I didn't touch on was Mirror. It's really popular. I'm sure most of y'all have heard of Mirror, but just another really cool way to fundraise. So it started more as like a publication. So a lot of writers are using it, right? So here's some cool examples of the articles. But you can launch the articles either as a token or an NFT. And one of the more successful projects that launched on Mirror that raised funding was the Infinite Garden. Yep. So they did this NFT that looked like a movie poster to raise funding for doing Ethereum the Infinite Garden documentary. And they raised, over 1,000 ETH, which is so incredible. And so, I think especially for artists that, like I think it was Hidden Forces earlier asked, what kind of options are there for these kinds of seed funding? I think this is a really great, like, do-it-yourself model of, here's my concept, here's what I'm wanting to do. And you could, especially for something you're trying to just raise like $2,000 for, I mean, you could make 20 NFTs for 0.1 each and create a cool experience for those funders that buy those NFTs through Mirror, where you give like updates or, do various things. So, or you could give them a token that represents, voting power. There's a lot of experimental ways that you can just, create your own way to fundraise. So I think this is a really great example of funding this documentary film. And I was just so proud to see this happen. I think it's just a great example of the power of what we're building in Web3 and the community, and how we're bringing to life things on our own terms. I think it's very rare to see something get over 1,000 ETH in funding. That's still like $1.5 million at ETH being low right now. And so, to not have to get a normal investor or have to sell it to Amazon or Hulu or whatever to be able to make something like this happen, I think is really beautiful to empower the freedom of creation. And so just want to show a really cool example. And really, that's about all I had to ramble about. Sorry if y'all are feeling overwhelmed. I tend to brain dump, but it's just such a rabbit hole of things. And I just wanted to showcase some of the projects and DAOs that I think are, and ways to raise money in the space that have been really meaningful to us, and especially through that creative lens. So yeah, and we try also, with how fast things move, it's really hard to keep up, but I do, on our IRLart.com website, I have these resource docs at the bottom, and I need to update all of them because there's just so much more that I could add, but I do try to keep these updated with good resources around, hardware wallets and different NFT platforms, articles, various, links to free and open source digital softwares, and ways to, various tools for AR. And so, yeah, we have 3 different resource docs here, just jam-packed with stuff, and I could probably double it with more stuff if I updated them. Oh, yeah, here we go. So I'll just give you IRLart.com, and then it's basically just at the bottom of the website. So, yeah. And is there a list with all the shared DAOs today? Forgot to screenshot, take notes. I'm happy to just. Oh, nice. Yes, thank you, Hidden Forces. I really look forward to checking this out more. There's not a list, but this is also, I believe, recorded. Hopefully, I don't know if I was supposed to record it. I think it's being recorded, and will be up on YouTube like the previous one was. And yeah, I mean, I could go through and just drop all these in here. Thanks, Nathaniel. Thanks so much for joining. So, Borja, are you there? Just wanted to double check that this was being recorded.
Yes, I'm here. It's being recorded and will be uploaded on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. That's what I assumed. So, for the person who asked, I think that would probably be easiest way to go back through and get links and stuff versus just dumping them all here, because there's quite a few. And yeah, feel free if you have any other questions. I'm happy to touch on anything. The other video that I did that's up on Vertical Crypto Art covered a lot of other things like Meta Factory and various DAO tooling like Coordinape and Sobol, and how to create free voter NFTs for Snapshot. So it was more about some of the tooling, but this time I really just wanted to focus on resources and really cool communities that I think you can learn a lot from, participate in, and all of that, and good funding resources, because I think I think there's a lot of support out there for people to get going. And another really cool project is DAO Punks. That would be a really great community to join. Just going to look them up, but they're so cool. They literally just had a grant program where it was encouraging people to quit their job and go full-time into Web3. And so they do various grants, and they have done some really cool clothing drops and NFTs to fundraise for their DAO. So really, I really resonate with what they're doing. And so, they're a great resource as far as grants go, or doing collaborative projects. I think any of these DAOs would be really interested to have more creative talent for designing merch or designing marketing assets or videos, and when I say marketing and merch, like, I feel like most artists are like, that's what I'm trying to quit. But what's cool is I think that this is really a whole different animal. I think it's very way more open to creativity versus like normal design work goes. And so I love what they've done. So just another great group that is doing really cool stuff. So yeah, there's so many. I saw an article earlier, I think the one that I shared, that said there's about 4,000 DAOs now. So there's just tons of projects out there, but I mostly tried to focus on what I found as far as creative ones. So yeah.
Fantastic. Um, if somebody has any questions, that would be a lovely time for you to ask. Okay, so a resounding no right now. Um,
I
any?
think we've got a few people typing, so we
Yes.
might just be patient for a little bit. And yeah, and I appreciate everyone's questions. Hopefully, I answered them well. I think that this space is very, like the Web3 space is very DIY. And, again, in our Discord, I've shared all of our proposals, like even the one I put in for Mocha and for Gitcoin. So various proposals I've put in over the last couple of years to show how and other people can use those templates or learn from those templates. So what to expect in terms of time and finance commitment in these art DAOs. Well, there's a few ways to approach it, right? So I think that the two main ways I could explain to approach is through, you can be a patron/investor in these DAOs if you have the ability to do that. But there's also more of the contributor role that you could have. And there's ways to basically earn your keep. And we're real per project based. There's certainly ways to create more full time or part time positions with different DAOs. And some other good resources just for, Web3 based jobs would be actually on the Ethereum Foundation. They have a way more comprehensive. Yeah, here we go. So work in Ethereum. So there are a number of really, really great jobs boards on here. I was going to pull up Bankless just because is really great. So they're always looking for, various DAOs are looking for like community managers or content creators, number of creative jobs. So, here's join a DAO and all these different DAOs you can join based on, the different like Maki X, I'm a part of. That's an art community DAO. So, I think it's up to you. So I think, if you are, and just to be transparent about that when you're navigating these communities and say, I'd like to commit 5 to 10 hours a week, or I'm looking for a full-time position, or I'm looking to invest, and just figuring out what you're wanting to do and then looking for those good fits. And that would be my advice, but it's really make it up because and again, we do more project based stuff. So we'll chart out this whole project that we want to do, and it might be a 1 month project or a 1 day project or a 6 month. So it's, really open to crafting. And I think that that's a really beautiful aspect to the space, is how flexible and open-ended it is. So, but there's certainly a lot of job opportunities that are more structured. So hopefully that answers your question. Touch sound art. Great. Well, we have about 5 minutes left. Yeah, feel free to respond if that didn't quite answer your question. I'd be happy to. Okay, cool. And I think it just depends on the grant. Certain grants have certain parameters, and there's really good docs available for like, for instance, I was talking a lot about Decentraland, or, and you can look in forums and see other examples of funding. I'm just going to look up Meta Factories just because that's a really good example. I think it's gov.metafactory. The Meta Factories are really cool DAO that does fashion and clothing. And so you can look up on their proposals on their forum and, basically see how people put in the request, and then the official vote happens on Snapshot. So then you can see, okay, this was approved, and you can see for how much and what it was. And so, I glean a lot of good information from people's forums and their snapshots, so that you can kind of see what kind of, if you want to just do a project versus a more formal job or role, what kind of things are being voted on and passed and funded through the different DAOs. So cool. Thank you so much. Hopefully that was helpful. Any of y'all are welcome to join our Discord. I'm scared to click on it. I think it should be on our website too. Maybe that's easier because I don't want to accidentally click out of this one. But yeah, so on our socials, you can join our Discord on our website. But feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I love meeting new people and always happy to give feedback on projects or, help in various ways. So we have a really cool network of artists that are in our Discord chatting about stuff. And, we're based in Colorado. So if you ever come out to ETH Denver, and a lot of our calls for artists and opportunities are, national and international. So we offer a lot of different opportunities throughout the year, and would love for y'all to apply or participate however. So I just really appreciate Vertical Crypto Art for inviting me to connect with y'all, and excited to hopefully stay connected and find more ways to support one another.